Okay, let's start. So, welcome to all to this regional consultation of Climate Social Forum regarding the Stockholm+50. Actually, this event is a Climate Social Forum event that is inserted into the youth program of Stockholm+50 on the road to Stockholm+50, and actually is a regional consultation. We will know after what does it mean and what we are committed to do today together. So our proposal is to discuss and consult of a healthier and prosperous and peaceful planet and humanity on the vision of the 6P of sustainability. This is another framework that we will explain after. But before going ahead, this is the agenda of today. It is a very dense agenda, we can say. There are a lot of things that we are going to do together. And we are going to start properly with the keynote speech from Gramenos Mastroianni. And it is an Italian diplomat that is working at the Union of for Mediterranean. And I will give you directly the floor to him, to the opening speech of our guest speaker. And then we will have also other important moments of this venue in which we are committed to do an important thing. We have to get out from this consultation with an output document. So, sorry. I'll give the floor now to Gramenos. Put your microphone if you're not speaking. So, Gramenos.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, so thank you so much. I'm not talking to you from an ideal location. I'm actually in an airport lounge and I'm going to board in 15 minutes. So I will not be able to stay with you long enough. But I would like to say a few things. And first of all, compliments to all of you for all your engagement. Sorry. Second, I think we're all disappointed. After so many years of negotiation, emissions are on the rise. Yet things take time. And we're in the middle of something that is happening and that has exactly 50 years. It's a 50 years long story. Let's go back 1972. What was the dominant idea? The dominant idea was that economy would solve everything. We should develop, and with the wealth that we create with development, we could solve everything. Meanwhile, to create wealth, we could sacrifice all the rest, but it was worth it. Because then with all this money we made, with all these resources we created, we would be able to mend all the problems that we created. This is the atmosphere in which 1972, the first big international meeting about environment was convened. We are in Stockholm. In Stockholm, it was still the age of the Cold War. Eastern Bloc, Western Bloc. And both blocs came with this idea, because actually this idea is reflected in both doctrines. Western Bloc liberal doctrine, that is, let the market do what the market can do. The market will create wealth, and with wealth, we will solve everything inside and outside the market. Eastern Bloc, the idea was that economy is the structure, everything else is the superstructure. So both blocs came to Stockholm with the idea that the first, foremost, absolute, dogmatic, sacred objective was to have development against everything else. The Eastern Bloc, the Socialist Bloc, even arrived declaring that the environment was a bourgeois luxury. We cannot afford to pay attention to little trees and butterflies if we want to build the shiny horizon of socialist development. The Western Bloc arrived there with the idea that we have to develop, and yes, maybe we might take some precautions not to bring the environment to collapse. But something happened that changed the whole game. Someone spoke. She came from India. The Indian Prime Minister, Indira Gandhi, held a speech, and what she said changed everything. She started her speech declaring that the worst form of pollution is poverty. That way, she established a link between environment and justice, which was to stay. But this was such a new idea that it took a long time for it to become concrete. It took a lot of reflection, and the first results arrived at the beginning of the 90s. In the 90s, two things happened. The first is that in this idea that economy could solve everything, and it was worth temporarily sacrificing everything to economy because afterwards you would have the advantages, someone realized that it didn't really work well. Especially an economist. He was working with the United Nations Development Program, and his name was Amartya Sen. After a while, he received the Nobel Prize, but before that, he inspired a new way to look at things. Why? Because some people realized that this idea that economy was sacred and would solve everything was reflected in a way to describe states' performance, which was a purely economic set of indicators called the GDP, the gross domestic product. But people at UNDP, guided by Amartya Sen, they realized that something there was wrong. You know, there were countries that were absolutely brilliant in terms of GDP. Even per capita income statistically seemed to be absolutely fantastic. But then in those countries, you had real life indicators that didn't match. You had very high birth mortality. You had not so long life expectation. You had health problems. Instruction was not distributed evenly. So they came out with an idea. Let us try to bridge the difference between economy, that so far was considered the one thing that would solve everything, and real life. So they came out with a new way to calculate the performance of states. In 1991, this way they came out with a new index called the Human Development Index, a compound index that put together, economic aspects together with real life aspects, like how much freedom did women enjoy? How long could you expect to live? Which were the possibilities, the concrete possibilities for you to get a decent instruction, this kind of things. And it was in this atmosphere that something quite unexpected happened. Because in this atmosphere, which was, the one situation in which you started to criticize this idea that economy would solve it all. On one side, activists on the social arena realized that economy would not solve all social problems. But the same thing happened with activists on the environmental side. They also realized that a good economy would not create enough wealth just to go back and solve the environmental problem. So the two communities decided to meet, and they met in Rio de Janeiro. It's 1992, the first Earth Summit. It was the first time in which the social community and the environment community and the development community met together. Out of this meeting, an idea came out. And it was a quite revolutionary, although simple idea. Until then, the idea was that development was more important than everything else, and you should look at development, reach development, sacrificing other values, sacrificing justice, sacrificing the environment. It was worth it because afterwards you would be able to mend it all due to the wealth that you had created. But it didn't work. So the two communities met together and they started reasoning. And this reasoning took 20 years. 20 years after, 2012, these two communities that had never talked to each other before, they even consider themselves kind of enemy. The development community considered the environment community like opponents. But then they understood they were not opponents, they were allies. Rio 2012, which is Rio plus 20, the second Earth Summit, they came out with an idea which was reflected in a document, which is one of the worst documents in international relations history. Written very badly, heavy, but still inside there is one idea. That one idea is that peace, environment, development, and human rights, they're not opposing each other. That you shouldn't think that you can reach something in one field to the detriment of the other field. And they came with the idea that if you want a good development, you cannot have it against environment. You can only reach good development and fast development and sound development if it's inside a good network of protection of the environment. A state of the environment, a protected environment gives you the resources. It is so basic, but still we didn't think that way. So in these terms, Rio plus 20 was revolutionary. Its final declaration, called The Future We Want, adopted this idea. A sound development, a development that lasts, a development that redistributes justice, is based on synergies, not on a trade-off with environment, human rights, and peace. Out of this idea came something that you all know, called the 2030 Agenda. 17 objectives, which are nothing more than specification of 4 basic objectives that we have to pursue together, which is peace, environment, justice, and development. Not one against the other, the 4 all together, because achieving one means making it simpler to achieve the others, and not according to the way that we used to think, one against the other. And there we arrive at 2015, the 2030 Agenda. Such a small object, but so revolutionary, just because it gives you the idea that you cannot develop against environment, you have to develop together with environment. You cannot develop against society, you have to develop in tune with society. And this was a dream, but the dream became concrete. 1919, a new European Commission arrived. Quite a dreaming commission. European Commissions have never been, they're bureaucrats. They've never been the authors of very forward thinking, but this time they came up with an idea, the Green Deal. And it's exactly this. Let us turn Europe into a machine that will develop through protecting the environment. The Green Deal was defined not a limitation to development because we need to protect the environment, otherwise everything will go wrong. It was developed as a plan of growth through a protected environment. But at the end itself of 2019, something else happened. Pandemics. And according to the old mentality, the reaction instinctively came. People said, member states said, hey, it's good to protect the trees and the butterflies, but now we have another priority. We have to protect health and we have to get into an economic recovery. Thanks God, this new commission was wise enough to reply the truth. And the reply came in the form of an article signed by the Vice President of the Commission, Timmermans, and Bertrand Piccard, the founder of Solar Impulse, where they just said, hey, you cannot say that health is opposed to environment, as though if we devote to health, we have to neglect the environment. And even more, you cannot say that economic recovery has to be achieved neglecting the environment. You want a sound recovery, you want sound growth, it has to be based on a protected environment, an environment that still gives you the resources you need. And equally, it is clear, if we have health problems now, it's not because we lack technology or knowledge to take care of our health, it's because we are destroying the environment. So they put forward this idea. You want development, you need to protect the environment. You want health, health coincides with a good state of the environment. So my friends, this is a crucial moment, a moment in which, despite everything, despite so many years of negotiations at the COP, we see emissions on the rise. But it is also a moment of clarity, a moment in which all the conceptual instruments to take it another way, an effective way, a moment in which we can think about growing, enhancing social justice, better protecting human rights can be done through valorizing all the potential of the ecosystem. I know you will be engaged in discussing all these points. Please don't forget one thing. This is it is today a 50 years old story. It took 50 years. Let us not be discouraged. What happened in Stockholm, surprisingly, against all odds, due to the speech of one woman representing a then quite neglecting country, India, is now giving its fruits. So best luck in your discussions. I cannot stay with you because I have to board the plane, but please be assured I am with you with all my mind and my heart. We need you, we need the social forum to cry out loud and help us, governments, institutions, do the right thing. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Gramenos, for your speech. And I think that your opening words will lead us on the discussion. Thank you for your kindness and have a nice travel. So let's greet Gramenos for now, and let's continue with the agenda of today. I will show again my screen. Before starting into the discussion, I will explain a little bit better the venue of today. So we had the opening speech of Gramenos Mastroianni that was like starting the floor on Stockholm+50 discourse. And now there will be my presentation, and then we are gonna run into some Talanoa discussion. What is Talanoa? Talanoa is a methodology for making consultation, making collective discussion in order to get out with some inputs. And actually, our goal today is probably result in something with our meeting and our discussion. So before starting, a few words about Climate Social Forum. Climate Social Forum is a free and inclusive universal assembly that wants to create a virtual agora where activists, citizens, and experts can discuss together and stimulate the national, local, and regional government to build up a sustainable future for all. Actually, we rely on the model of the Sustainable Development Goals, and in particular at the climate action paths. Climate action paths are a sort of pathways that are designed combining the different SDGs. And actually, this has been the backbones of our venue, the Climate Social Forum. And to create a fruitful discussion and a safe discussion, we set up some basic principles in which we want to create the safe environment for let the people meet and let the people discuss together. This principle can be summarized in 3 keywords that are listen, generativity, and solution. Listen, because we want to listen all the opinion of everyone. Experts, activists, youths, and so on are all engaged into the virtual agora. And we want to be inclusive indeed. Generativity, because the discussion need to generate something, generate ideas, generate solution. And probably solution is the other words that summarize the principle, because we want to lead finally not to talk about just of problem, but also to find some solution together. Our motto, in fact, is alone we have problem, but together we can have solution. And especially, we are all on the same boat, and only if we remain together, we could prevent the storm from happening. That's the very principle of Climate Social Forum. And regarding boats, I will go then to the Talanoa dialogue. What is Talanoa dialogue? Talanoa dialogue is the methodology that we are going to use today for our consultation. The word comes from the tradition of Fiji Islands, and it reflects an inclusive, participatory, and transparent process where all together the participants are asked to build empathy and make wise decisions for the collective goal. The Talanoa dialogue involves sharing ideas, skills, and experience, and has been officially introduced as negotiation methodology also into UNFCCC since COP23 and other like social environmental processes. Actually, it is based on three main questions that are raised to the audience, and collectively the audience is demanded to ask. So where we are is the first question. To assess the state of art. So to start the solving of the problem, we have to understand which is the current situation, which is the state of art. Where do we want to go? So which are our objectives? Which are our goals and our expectation for the future? So where do we want to go is the second question. But to reach a goal, we need a strategy. We need a path to perceive. And how do we get there is the third question that we are addressed to pursue and to like take into the discussion to produce our outputs and our ideas. And actually, the Talanoa dialogue is the base in which the Climate Social Forum is making the virtual agora, we can say. So the methodology that we have been used since now for discuss together about the problems of the environment. And actually, how the Climate Social Forum works. We share documents, open documents that at the beginning of the session, they are open and blank, we can say. And we are asking the participant to fill the documents with ideas and so on. We collect then the inputs from the participant, and we come out with some output documents. So output documents from the process. That's how we made for our edition of Climate Social Forum in 2020 and 2021. And these were like the results of our discussion that you can see on our website. And also maybe you can also scan this QR code to access them. But which is the goal of today? Today, we have to make samely output documents, but for a particular sake. Gramenos Mastroianni has introduced the discussion talking about Stockholm. 50 years ago, there was the first assembly of the UNEP, the UN Environmental Protection Agency. And these days, especially in 2 and 3 of June, there will be like the 50 years of this assembly. And youth are asked also to contribute to this venue, writing a youth policy paper. And especially for our session today, the goal is to contribute to the regional consultation of Europe, and to like put all the outputs of the document into the policy paper that is going to be produced. Of course, the motto of Climate Social Forum is only if we stay together, we can overcome the storm for happening. And the Talanoa principle means that we are all on the same boat. So that's why together with us, there are not only, we can say, European friends, but friends from all over the world, because we have to understand that we are all interconnected. And a region is a region also because it has several connections with the other regions. So all of you are kindly asked to contribute also on your point of view from your region, from your state, from wherever you are, to this final outcome that we have to produce. So in this slide, I summarize the actual structure of the draft of the youth policy paper for Stockholm+50. We have an executive summary, we have a background, an introduction, and we have a series of call for governments. So the call for governments are on different arguments. And what we have to achieve is in a way to contribute to this structure with our final report of the consultation of today. And which is the framework in which we want to move today in our consultation. Actually, we are going to move on the 6P of sustainable development. I was addressing before about the SDGs that are the backbones of the Climate Social Forum. But SDGs can be clusters also standing to different frameworks. And today we are using one of these frameworks that are the 6P model. But which are these Ps? Let's know the Ps together. So before starting the actual consultation, we will have like an introductory roundtable with very, very important guests that will let us know about this model of the 6Ps. As you can see from this slide, the 6Ps are like keywords, key concept that summarize and cluster some of the SDGs. So there are people, planet, prosperity, peace, partnership, and purpose. These are the 6Ps that we are using for as model for our consultation. And for each of the P, to like trigger the discussion and to make also some elements for our further consultation, we invited some relevant speakers, in particular a youth champion and an expert speaker for each of the Ps. And so let's start with the knowing the model of the 6Ps, starting from the people track. And for the people track, we invited a few speakers today with us. And in particular, I will call now upon on Ismail. Ismail, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. I'm here with you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for being with us. So Ismail will be our youth champion for the people track. So Ismail, tell a little bit about you and your position on how we can address the people into our sustainable development.
Okay, thank you for the floor. My distinguished colleagues, my name is Ismail Sidi Ali from Nigeria, a country mobilizer for Youth for Our Planet, and I am a member of Stockholm+50 Youth Task Force. So the SDGs declare the world determination to end poverty and hunger in all their forms and dimensions, and to ensure that all human beings can fulfill their potential in dignity and equality and in a healthy environment. Despite some signs of hope, it's clear we need to do better, especially we face complex challenges like conflict and climate change that directly impact the dignity and well-being of humankind. The world is home to 1.8 billion young people between the ages of 10 to 24, the largest generation of youth in history. Young people are increasingly aware of the challenges and risks presented by the climate crisis and of the opportunity to achieve sustainable development brought by a solution to climate change. Young people are not only victims of climate change, they are also valuable contributors to climate actions. They are agents of change, entrepreneurs, and innovators. Whether through education, science, or technology, young people are scaling up their efforts and using their skills to accelerate climate action. So I'm calling for the need of young people to be provided with more green job opportunities, and engagement in processes and international conferences, because we, the young people, have major role to play in the sustainability of our Earth society. So this is just a little brief of my intervention, although I have give specified area on the youth because I'm a youth, and majority of the actions now you see that youth are involved. That's why I was even selected as one of the Stockholm+50 youth task force in order to contribute to the international process. Thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Ismail. It's an honor and a pleasure to have you here. Also, for your efforts into the Stockholm+50 Youth Task Force, and probably like youths can have like a particular role also in the venue of the Stockholm+50. And now let's give the floor to our expert speaker, that is Dr. Sudhir Joshi from Sustainable Development Goals Brigade, India. So, Dr. Joshi, the floor is yours.
Hello, am I
Yeah?
audible?
Yes, we
Yes.
can hear you.
Yes. Hello, everyone. Myself, Dr. Sudhir Joshi. I'm a district Ayush officer in Government of Gujarat, India, and I'm a director in SDG Brigade India, a youth-led initiative. And I'm also a regional mentor in Atal Innovation Mission, Niti Aayog, New Delhi, India. And I'm also a part of various high-level political forum of United Nations various agencies. So first of all, congratulate team CSF for organizing this regional consultations. And I have been assigned for people, the first P. So I start my session with some brainstorming words. We are working for global peace, solidarity, and happiness. We are here for embracing change in the community. And we are working for our one mission and one vision, that is sustainable globe. So how we are doing on the SDGs? One way to measure progress is to focus on the 6 P's that shape the SDGs: people, planet, prosperity, peace, partnership, and purpose. These 6 P's highlight how the SDGs are an intertwined framework instead of a group of siloed goals. Progress on one P must balance and support progress on another. Means all the P is interlinked and interconnected. Likewise, all 17 SDGs. Refocusing on these 6 P's feels particularly relevant regarding this consultation for clear and intentional alignment with the goals under review of high-level political forum, as well as these regional consultations like this CSF, SDGBI, and on. We are here for come forward for resolution towards Stockholm+50 policy paper conference. What about the people? The SDG declares the world's determination to end poverty and hunger in all forms, dimensions, and to ensure that all human beings can fulfill their potential in dignity and equality and in a healthy environment. This is our baseline and we have to follow it. People covering 5 SDG, SDG 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. It can be combined into 2 categories, especially if we talk about the people. We remember from the United Nations dictum, the 2030 agenda is to leave no one behind. The SDGs are goals that represent and emphasize the importance of the livelihood of all the people. The first 5 goals of the Sustainable Development Goals are designed to provide appropriate target for meeting the fundamental needs of all the people around the world. The first 2 goals address the most basic sustenance. Goals 3, as we all know, goal 3 is related with the health and well-being, and 4 is related with the quality education. These all are also fundamental goals of health, well-being, and education. And we all know that Goal 5 posed to focus on one of the key social issues of empowering girls and women around the world. By asserting equal opportunity for all women, including jobs, foods, and education. Despite some signs of hope, it's clear we need to do better, especially as we face complex challenges like conflict and climate change that directly impact the dignity and well-being of humankind. So here, what we are doing in SDG Brigade, we are focusing 3I, that is inform, inspire, integration. We are here for channelizing youth, we have to make them change agent. After making them change agent, give assignment and explore their skills by knowledge and experience. And then they come forward by our motivation and inspiration. And then real SDG integration start. We are here for SDG integration because all the SDGs are interlinked and interconnected. Without thinking all SDGs, we will not get what exactly we want. So, my dear friends and colleagues, if we want global happiness, peace, and embracing change in the community, we have to come focus this youth. Youth bring not momentum. We are here for not effect, impact. We are here for not solution, resolution. We are here for better resolution. This type of regional consultation give new insight to the community leaders and member stakeholders as well as political forum. So I am here for give my 100% contribution. We in India have various youth forums, and all youth are very excited to work as a contributor for globally. So we are organizing various events. We are participating in SDG week celebration. We are also organizing various MUNs, workshops, dialogue show, poster competition, and various events so that youth become engaged. Here, the main point is engagement of youth, involvement of youth, assign them change agent, give them responsibility, take their decision, make them change agent to change maker. If we can make youth as a change maker, then real solidarity and real happiness we will make. With all this, thank you very much for opening the remarks. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Dr. Joshi. I think that your experience has been like a valuable contribution to Climate Social Forum and in general to the discussion of today. And regarding the people P, we have also another expert speaker today. Actually, she is a very friend of Climate Social Forum and also very committed with one of the causes that are related to people that are the indigenous people. So I will give the floor before passing to the other P to Moran Solbrosa, that is the coordinator of the B1 community. So Moran, if you are there, the floor is yours. Moran, I don't know if you can hear you. Okay, maybe she is not at the computer now. So let's go ahead with the other P. It is the P of the planet. So let me share one moment again the screen. Okay, so the planet is a very important P. Of course, I will not spend so much word about. We are all here to like protect the planet, and several SDGs are addressing the planet issue. And as an expert speaker of today for the planet, we have Stefania Romano, but also we have our youth champion Selma Bikbik, to whom I will give the floor. So Selma, let's start from you, and then let's go to Stefania. So Selma, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you. Yeah.
So the
Can you
floor,
hear me?
yeah, the floor is yours to
Okay.
introduce yourself and to address these other feed on our framework. So the floor to you.
Thank you so much. First of all, thank you so much for the invitation. It really means a lot to me. To just, this is one of my favorite themes ever, and it's something that I am an activist for. So as an intro that I would love to give of myself is that I'm Selma Bishbish. I don't know, everyone is just finding some troubles in pronouncing my surname, but it's fine. Well, I'm actually a social and climate youth activist. I'm from Algeria. It's a North African country. I'm actually also an SDG advocator and a founder of an NGO that is called Together for Blue and Green. Now, this is actually an NGO that is funded by an embassy, and one of the reasons why I'm bringing here funding, because one of the things that youth and here are, especially the ones who are advocating for climate change and environmental conservation, we always find that founding a certain initiative or starting an NGO or whatever always requires support. Not always financial support, but like the fact that we like respecting youth. Yeah, so the fact of respecting youth for taking. Sorry, is there anyone trying to ask a question or?
No, just was like an audio, but okay.
Yeah, okay, perfect, no worries. So as I stated, one of the reasons why I brought funding to the table is the fact that youth are always in need for support, whether it was a financial one or even just support of youth themselves. Because, for example, I do live in a community where having a table of discussion and bringing up proposals into the table is something that is not yet welcomed. I have been heard from abroad more than in my community, even though I know that I am living in one of the most vulnerable regions in the world, where we have to take more actions, where we have to support people to care more about planet and about the environment, because this what will bring later calamities that we cannot even deal with. So one of the reasons why I really wanted to choose this theme, which is always planet and fighting for planet and taking actions for planet and speaking out for planet and earth and humans, of course, who are all time being I would say not really prioritized over businesses and economies, because we're seeing that humans are always the victims of these calamities, of these challenges that climate change is having an impact on them. But we barely consider how we ever even asked ourselves how these people are now turned into refugees. Most of them are refugees because of these of the climate challenges that they are facing. But we never consider our practices that are like absolutely 100% contributing to, I would say, resulting in such things, especially the things that hurt humans and planet at first place. I would highly state in here and bring this, I don't know, as a recommendation maybe, where youth need to be more supported, youth need to be more trusted, especially with their actions, because we're talking about the future leaders who are going to lead that tomorrow. And if we haven't been involved and given the opportunity to be part of forming that future and building it, then how are we supposed to lead it that on that tomorrow that everyone is just talking about? We want to, because everyone is not seeing what is happening outside. It's us who are there fighting, it's us who are there striking, it's us who are taking actions and seeing what is happening to humans and listening to them. We are the voice for so many communities who couldn't even express it, or I would say who have been all time neglected. So if we haven't been given the floor to talk about all of that, then what's the point of just having this international conferences and bringing everyone in? So this is something that I just really wanted to bring, especially that also we will be having the same discussion on Stockholm+50 Youth Task Force event that, I mean, thankfully I was among the selected ones to be there. And we will be also having a side event under Yongo. And I'm not really trying to promote for my side event, but we will be having a side event to discuss youth actions under Yongo, and everyone of course is welcome to be there, because we will be drafting also some recommendations and submit it later as a report for the UNFCCC. So We are really hoping to have more recommendations that insist on immediate actions rather than the same promises and words, because we're really sick of words and we're sick of really drafting the same thing every single year. So we want to see more actions on the ground, and I hope the upcoming, this event will be the perfect opportunity for a new start, especially for youth activists, to be more precise. Thank you so much again for the invitation.
Thank you very much to you, Selma, for your enthusiasm. And thank you also for advising us about your event. I think that it's relevant also for to know that on Stockholm+50 there are several events related to youth. And so now I'll give the floor to Stefania Romano from Ecology, our expert on the planet B. So Stefania, to you.
An expert, planet B. Well, I would say that when I start to see all those numbers and conferences and years, and starting from 1972, that also reminds me of the very major book published by the then Dennis Meadow, Limits to Growth. I can't but say it's been too long that we've been fighting for that. It's been too long that we've been advocating for it. It's been too long that we've been hoping for a different and better future. But it's still, as at the very beginning, Gramenos Mastroianni was saying, hopeful that the more hands on deck we gather for a transformation, because I think that the word change itself is not really very much in tune with human psyche and human approach. Rather, the transformational steps are still ongoing in spite of the frustration, in spite of the deceptions, of the disillusionments that we have had all over those 50 years, in fact. I shortly introduce myself. I'm Stefania Romano, and I'm a friend of many of you. Many of you know me because I've been in this field for a very long time, maybe too long myself. I started working for the Italian Ministry of the Environment a long time ago, and I've been lucky enough to be posted in several countries abroad. So I've seen the environmental perspective, the environmental topic from different perspectives, in fact, from different countries, in the bilateral meetings, in the multilateral actions, from international organization, from the government's perspective. Then for a while I've been on my own, and I have set up my own platform combining art and environment, because I really came to the conclusion that policies can't really tackle, can't really address, can't really solve the problem. Rather, it should be a more emotional and unconscious movement that could take us toward transformation steps. I've also been in grassroots movements like DiEM25, advocating for the Green New Deal for Europe, and very much into social, human rights organizations like Emergency, like Baobab, like Asud. So I think I have been pulling together all different experiences from very many, perspectives. Now, I'm currently working for, I'm kind of back to the institutional work, because I do believe that only within the real institutional frame, ironically, you can change, you can kind of operate much better than if you are outside. And that's why I came back to the kind of more political arena. And although I'm also very often hopeless and frustrated myself, I'm also aware that we can't but keep on and hang in and work on together. Specifically, what I find interesting right now, because we know when we talk about the planet, we know that the planet and therefore us, right? We are just facing different and multiple crises. So the climate crisis, biodiversity crisis, human crisis, social crisis. And already then, 50 years ago in Stockholm, Indira Gandhi, she was just highlighting the fact that poverty is an ecological problem boils down to the social problem, right? So therefore, it's only about facing human rights in a way that they can really be solved from the very root, which is not only about policies themselves or about acknowledging, you know, in an institutional format, but it's about giving really equal access to everybody. And when we talk about the planet, we talk about about the food, and what we eat is thanks to the planet, right? The food that we have. When we talk about the planet, we talk about the air that we breathe. We talk about the water that we drink. So very often we end up talking about big processes and initiatives, which are like full of very complicated, you know, acronyms and papers and documents. And me myself, sometimes I'm wondering, like, I mean, seriously, we're talking about nature, we're talking about the planet, but then we make it so complicated. So I really very often think that we should be much more simpler in the way how we tackle those kind of problems, because at the end of the day, when we talk about the planet, I mean, we are also fully aware that the planet will survive. We are not going to be surviving, that's for sure, because as much as the dinosaurs got extincted, we are going to be extincted as well. Whereas the planet, in a way, will revive, will certainly, you know, flourish again. So it's us. We have to perceive, if we want to be perceived as a human race, then we have to be starting to be adjusting to the environment, not thinking that we are the ones dominating and overruling and exploiting the environment. So the relationship between the planet and human beings really have to change, not anymore in the anthropological sense, but rather in a more, I mean, considering that the planet is us, and it's only by the more a healthy and fair relationship that can be a combination for which then we can really thrive together. The project that I'm running right now within Ecology is Cities with Nature and Regions with Nature. Now, Cities with Nature, why I like it specifically, because the story goes that more and more human beings are going to be citizens in cities, right? I mean, the number of people living in cities is certainly much higher than the ones that are in the rural areas, and it's growing, right? Therefore, we really have to be considering how to better make prosper those cities where people are. And as we have been experiencing during COVID and then pandemics, it's those who have really survived through that pandemics have been those who have been, in a way, able, when exiting, when going out, to be enjoying the green spaces around them. So now more than ever, we realize that our mental health, our physical health is very much linked up to the greenery around us, to the sustainability around us. And it's not only the green sustainability in terms of nature and biodiversity, it is, but it's also the sustainability of human relations, you know, how we interact to each other. Cities with Nature is a partnership initiative. It's much bigger than Ecology itself. It just hosts a number of other international organizations all throughout, like the IUCN, like the Nature Conservancy, WWF, Biophilics, Cities for Forest, the Global Salzburg Seminar, and it's growing. It's growing. WWF, I already said it, but it's growing in terms of partners, because they are approaching us. They want to be part of this huge partnership, and it collects cities from throughout the world in the topic of biodiversity. Now we know that we have three big streams within the UN format, which is the climate change, desertification, and biodiversity. Specifically, Cities with Nature targets the biodiversity, which is the UN CBD, in fact. And we know that there are like global targets, and Cities with Nature platform, because it is an initiative. It is a platform that provides tools, functionalities, keys for cities themselves to be operating in the field of biodiversity. So monitoring and reporting local action within the global frame. What is important is that cities can interact with each other. It means that Cape Town can talk to Barcelona and can say, hey guys, what are you doing in the field of biodiversity? How can we combine actions? How can we exchange? I like this and I want this. And, you know, so in this kind of exchange, of course, there is a kind of development, right? Like a fair and sustainable development. Now, Cities with Nature is specifically for cities. And we have been developing over the last months the sister initiative, which is called the Regions with Nature. Whereas we have the national government here and the local governments here, which is cities and municipalities, we have another kind of segment, which is like provinces, territories, regions themselves, subnational governments. And that's where Regions with Nature falls in. And we are working with Regions 4. We are working with the government of Quebec in Canada and Goa in India and Scotland in the UK and Catalonia and the community of Madrid in Spain, Cape Town, Western Cape Town in South Africa. So more and more regions are coming in for joining forces in the frame of biodiversity. The COP15, we're all aware that the first part has been held last October virtually. I mean, there has been a continuous like postponement, delay in the second part. In principle, it should be at the end of August, 28th of August till the 10th of September, but it's being kept postponed, the date, because you know that right now China is already hit by COVID and a lot of people are afraid of moving there, of traveling there. They were planning at the very beginning a kind of bubble, like having charters flying there, but then people really want to be having in-person exchanges because we have seen how difficult those 2 years of virtual has been, right? So it's been discussed and it's still not confirmed, not decided. But what I wanted to say is that I'm really quite glad to be part of this discussion. And I thank the Climate Forum and Domenico, who is a very close friend of mine for a long time, because I really believe that in a way, the platforms that you're offering, like Talanoa is the only way how we can really achieve results, because it's only through not only talking and discussing, but it's through real deep exchange and through the exchange, making you know, like putting our hands in actions that can then lead us to something that can be impactful in a way. So I'm aware that we all want to see the impact, and we all feel sometimes constrained. We can't do as much as we would like. So definitely one of the major instruments that we have is to work together, and hopefully through discussions like the one that we're having today, we'll find out more instruments to be doing it in the most viable and effective way. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Stefania, also for talking of concrete initiatives that are addressing our new way to like live on this planet. Because finally, when we are talking about sustainable development, we have to learn new ways to live on this planet in a sustainable way. And let's continue with our P. The other P is prosperity. Prosperity that doesn't mean only like richness, but well-being, something more related to, as I said, coexistence with the natural environment. And on this space, there is like a lot of things to do, also on the entrepreneurial side. New works, new business, new ideas for living in a more sustainable ways are the key also for addressing the goals of the Sustainable Development Goals. Decent jobs, decent work are something that are inserted also in the SDGs. And properly talking about that, I want to give the floor to Her Excellency Dr. Monica Grant. Monica, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Okay, such a pleasure to have you here. Thank you very much for being on this venue. And Monica is like a superwoman, I can say, because she is doing a lot of things, and she's also president of a Rotary Club. But I will let her the floor to explain a little bit more about her and about also the importance of entrepreneurship also for achieving a new prosperity.
Thank you so much, Domenico. You are my brother. We haven't met in the physical, but you are my brother in spirit, and I'm just so happy to be connected with you and to be on this platform with you all, amazing people. And I've really enjoyed what I've heard so far, and so I look forward to what happens beyond this moment in time, what we can build together in our lifetime. So I just send peace, love, wholeness, balance to everyone that is tuning in. And I dedicate this time to my grandmother, who is now my ancestor, Sydney Smith. I love you. When it comes to the idea of prosperity, I'll give you a little background about myself. I always knew that I wanted to be an entrepreneur. I was the kid that said, "You're not the boss of me," and I meant it. I wanted to have freedom in my life, freedom in my expression, freedom in how I made my money, and freedom in just how I live my life. I was the old soul. I'm still an old soul, even though I still can be considered a youth. I'm not quite sure where those lines are drawn, but I was a kid that was an old soul. I knew what I wanted at a very young age, and I knew that freedom of my time was required. And so I took the path of entrepreneurship. I always knew I wanted to be an entrepreneur. I always knew that I was a builder as well, even though I didn't have the mentorship around me to necessarily know the right paths to take. I knew that that's what I wanted. And there's a phrase that we all may know. I know we're from different parts of the world, but it goes, "You don't know what you have until it's gone." So even though I still consider myself a youth, there's a lot of things that being an 80s baby that I was able to experience. Being able to leave doors unlocked, being able to have your neighbors look after you, being able to have what I believe is clean air and clean water. A lot of things I've taken for granted, having safe communities, being able to have open conversations, having respect for elders, safe schools, not seeing guns in schools, not having those type of conversations, right? I was born pre-internet, pre-social media, and I've been able to see things change very, very quickly to a point where I'm more fearful for the youth now, the young people in high school and middle school and elementary schools. If I didn't say it, I'm here in New York, I'm in America. A lot have changed very quickly. And I know our ancestors and the generations before us have worked so hard to make life easier for us. And in so many ways, it has happened. Technology has made life a lot easier for us. But when I look at this next generation, the things that we took for granted were the emotional stability that comes from sitting down at a table with your family and having those dinners and being able to sit with your grandmother and live in the same community, in the same town as your loved ones and your family. Now so many people are spread all around that we define community different. We define being a nation different. In this time of Corona, the great silver lining is that now we can have these conversations and we can meet up online and be in the virtual space. So we're in a space of just newness. And I think that is just also the other silver lining, is just the newness of this time that we're in, that we can create this new earth. We can create the world that we want to be in. And this is a beautiful energy to be in, if you have the eyes to see it and the mind to understand it. For our youth, I remember being 12, 13. I don't know if I was thinking about building a new world. I'm trying to survive middle school and high school, and so it's a privilege for me to be able to be wise enough to understand that the next generation needs our support. So when we look at prosperity, prosperity goes beyond what these kids see on YouTube, you know, people jumping out of Lamborghinis and buying a big mansion and things like that. A lot of our youth are depressed. They're going through mental health issues. Mental health issues definitely in America are on a rise, but I know it's global as well. There's a warped understanding of what prosperity is. And like Domenico said, like the focus has been on just wealth creation and financial creation, but true wealth is having a planet that supports you. True wealth is having a community that supports you. True wealth is feeling loved and supported and honored and respected and respected for who you are, right? That is prosperity to me. And that goes back to what I originally thought it was when I was a young girl. The ability to freely create, you know, to be an artist, to be a dancer, to create art. You know, we can go online right now and not feel comfortable expressing how we truly feel because a mob might attack us. You know, the internet mob might come after us. And so we live in very fearful times. And that's not right and that's not fair to our youth. And so as an entrepreneur, my heart has taken me into paths of social entrepreneurship, excuse me, of creating organizations that not only work to provide for my own personal needs, but for the needs of the planet, for the needs of my community. I am the CEO of Young Boss Media. We have focused since 2017 on creating content to uplift people that look like myself, women, people of color, indigenous people, people outside of the rich class, the wealthy class, and empowering them with a voice, whether it be through video, television shows, commercials, documentaries, podcasts, radio programs, allowing the average everyday person to have a platform to have their voice heard. I mean, this was pre-Corona, so God bless Corona and COVID-19 for allowing that to be propelled and allowing everyone to have a voice via Zoom and the virtual space. Now, just through works of networking and meeting so many amazing people, a partner of mine, Justin Hogashan, out in the Philippines, shout out to Justin, he approached me with an idea to start a Rotary Club for philanthropic entrepreneurs. We founded this Rotary Club this year, 2022. It is the first online Rotary Club for entrepreneurs. I was elected president of this Rotary Club in February of this year. And my mission for this club is to create an organization of social entrepreneurs globally, where we can have conversations just like this that we're having today. We can represent our own different regions and our localities and bring to the surface what I might not know what's going on in Algeria. So thank you, Selma, letting me know what you're working on out there. And by us coming together, we now have a mastermind group. You know, Napoleon Hill spoke about creating a mastermind group, right? And in religion, we speak about, and I'm also a chaplain, I'm also an ordained minister. And in religion, we speak about when two or more gather, the Most High is in the midst. And we have this unlimited power, this unlimited potential that we can use, you know, if we're focusing on a higher purpose. And so with this Rotary Club, I'm very intentional about creating that spirit and creating that energy and focusing on a higher purpose, because only together can we save this planet, change this planet, improve our communities, improve beyond what we know, right? We're creating the new earth, the new systems that will repair everything that has been damaged. I do believe that we can all do it if we all get on the same page. And I think this is the opportunity right here, right now in this Aquarian age to use technology to benefit us. And so through this Rotary Club, we've actually created a learning platform called the Social Entrepreneur Toolbox. I don't know which is right here, the Social Entrepreneur Toolbox. It is a platform where we'll be teaching master classes every month, starting off, it's gonna be our first year every month. These master classes, we will charge a small minimal fee for social entrepreneurs to gain information and to meet new people in the social entrepreneurship world throughout the world, right? That money will then be used to fund international humanitarian projects that the Rotary Club takes on. So whether it's a broadband project, whether we want to start up a water project in Rwanda, we just had a conversation about that. Internet cafes in West Africa, internet cafes in the Philippines, youth programs, feminine hygiene programs. We want to be able to have a sustainable program that funds it. So we're not dependent on Rotary for funding or just any other organization. We as social entrepreneurs create our own sustainable system to where we are providing a service, but we also can create revenue that funds bigger projects. And this is something that we're actively working on now since I've taken office in February. And Domenico, my brother Domenico, is a part of that team. He's also working on helping the Ukraine initiative as well. And there's a lot of things that we're doing as social entrepreneurs to change the narrative of entrepreneurship. So many of us have been harmed by capitalism, harmed by entrepreneurship. Particularly if you look like me, if you're a Black woman, if you're a woman, if you're a person with a disability, if you're outside the rich class, you have probably been taken advantage of by capitalism. Capitalism ran by greedy people. Now, once the people and the purpose change, capitalism can also be used for good. Business can be used for good. Entrepreneurship can be used for good. And so that's what we're doing here with Rotary, is creating business systems that have a positive impact on our nation, but also on our world, but also a sustainable, looking 7 generations down the line, how is what we're doing right now impacting 7 generations? And for me, that's how we talk about true prosperity, is making sure that we can have kids and we can know that we're not just making it easier for their day-to-day work life, but we're making it easier for their spiritual life, because that's what we're doing here, right? Spirits having a physical experience. And so that's what we're doing with Rotary. And we'd love to have you all a part of it. But I'm happy to be here to have more conversations like this. And so I know we got to get to the breakout rooms. I'm here for every piece of it. I would love to connect with you all through this platform and just beyond. And once again, I'm grateful for the time to share with you, and I look forward to building. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Monica, and thank you for the amazing thing that you are doing and you are perceiving. Unfortunately, there is not the youth speaker for this session, but I will take the chance to give the floor again to Moran Sol Broza. So, Moran, I don't know if you are online and you can speak.
Hi, yes, I'm here. Thank you. What an honor and a pleasure to be here amongst such inspirational spirits having a human experience. It's lovely to be here, and it feels like a significant combination of people here doing really amazing work that we need to be doing all over the world. My name is Moran Sol Broza, and I grew up being told that children are the key to unlock the future. And growing up with a dream of becoming a mother, I too wanted to see what kind of a future was in store for my future children. And so today I am joining you all on the front lines of creating a really exciting near future and future, planting seeds together, empowering and amplifying each of us more and more. I really appreciate the words of those who spoke before me. I have so much that resonated with me, including using tech for good, using all the life experience that we have to bring us together and really kind of share the resources that we have between us. And then we have so much more. Speaking of prosperity, I feel grateful that there are people who have been in the field for many years and decades, even, who are equipped with time that was spent and invested on researching and developing solutions, plans, practical, theoretical. And I feel that we are at a moment where we really, truly do have a choice to make. And we have the technology that we've developed to help us communicate. And as Monica said, I agree that if we see the silver lining or choose to make lemonade from the situation. It's that we have adjusted to being able to use the technology to communicate a bit more easily or more often, at least to transition into the next phase of kind of restructuring and implementation of alternative solutions and different tools that have either been around or are waiting to be developed. And it's a group like this that I look around and I feel relief on an event like this before Stockholm happens to mark something that was revolutionary and had impact globally. And so I'm working on a project called Be, connecting a network of initiatives, individuals, communities, based around, unity and sustainability from all over the world, and building a community around it with the different solutions that each one brings, and helping people to find solutions that they're looking for, as well as educational content that's collected from programs that already exist, and making them more easily accessible. One thing that rang for me was the idea of what are the things I wish I knew when I was 12 to inspire me to understand what I may have wanted to supplement for my children, in addition to, just education as we grow up, because I feel that education is beyond books. It's about the surroundings we grow up in. It's about the examples we see around us. And by choosing to focus on the solutions that are already out there and then amplifying them and making it easier for people to find, we can accelerate this transition. So I really look forward to meeting each of you and getting to know you better as we progress on this journey together. Thank you to the Climate Social Forum for bringing us together. I believe that is the way we will overcome it. Thank you.
Thank you, Moran. And as we are seeing, there are like several examples and several also information that are case studies and also important inputs for also our consultation after. So let's foster on our P, and now we are coming to one P that in these days is particularly important. It is the P of peace. There is a dedicated SDG to the peace, because without any peace situation, there is no possible any sustainable development. And of course, maintaining peace and fostering peace in the world is like a precondition for any discourse that we are running for fostering the Agenda 2030 and so on. And so we were talking about peace with two guests that I appreciate for their deep position and deep also work properly fostering on peace. And let's start with our youth guest, that is Joël Eboa from the African Network of Young Leaders for Peace and Sustainable Development. So Joël, it's a pleasure and an honor to have you here on this venue. And I'll give you the floor to introduce yourself and also to talk about the very important topic that also your organization is leading, the peace and the sustainable development. So Joël, the floor to you.
Thank you, Domenico. Thank you for this opportunity given by the Climate Social Forum. So thank you for this platform. I'm Joël Eboa. I'm the Secretary General of African Network of Young Leaders for Peace and Sustainable Development. That is a network that works across Africa and in some other continent, yes, to bring peace and also to make that to bring about the sustainable development. So we work basically yes in all the countries in Africa, and how the idea of African Network of Young Leaders for Peace and Sustainable Development, how those organization was created. So it started by noticing various problems in Africa. So we noticed that we have a lot of environmental problems. And we have in various countries, basically in my community, I've noticed that we have problem of land degradation. We have also problem of desertification in various areas. So since I was working in various countries, I've also noticed that the problem was the same in various countries. And by working with communities, I finally noticed that we all have the same story, meaning that for the past year, the environment was not the same. And the more the year passed, so we noticed that there is a degradation. And in various areas, we noticed that there are conflicts that are led by environmental problem. And you're going to notice in some areas, there are conflicts between shepherd communities and also between farmer communities that are basically due to the land, and with a various impact on peace, since many communities are in conflict. And we also have in various countries the problem of minerals that the problem of mineral, meaning that many companies exploit the soil and the land, and with various impacts on health and also various impacts in the life of indigenous people. So we decided then to act and we decided to make this thing to change. So we then created African Network of Young Leaders for Peace and Sustainable Development to solve this problem. And by first of all, putting a strategy that, meaning that our main goal is to bring peace. But we noticed that the conflict that we have in various countries in Africa are caused mainly by the land degradation, by the environmental problems, and these problems will lead many people, many communities, for instance, to migrate. So then we put a strategy that is not only based on peace, but that is based on the nexus, peace, environment, and migration, and linking it also to all the health challenges that we have. So then we put and we are operationalizing we're implementing various projects to address this issue as the action program against violent extremism. Also, some program also like the program against migration, the program on safe and regular migration, meaning that we think and we believe that migration is a right, or migration is a right, and migration can be we have to why people are migrating. And if we also understand that, we think that it will be possible, yes, it will be possible, yes, to have the development both by both sides, meaning that in the country where they are going to live, and also in their home country. So that is how we work basically. And this tool, how we work, we build capacities of young people to understand this nexus of the environmental challenges as one of the main causes of conflict in Africa, and also we build also their capacity to be able to address all the conflicts that are occurring in their communities by having this nexus in mind, and by implementing action that will not only be driven environment, but that will be driven both that will take into account all the contours of this problem. So we also so we organize various kind of webinar that are regional webinar. So both at regional level and also at communities level. And we also mentor young people to give them the opportunities, yes, to be leader, and also to advocate. So our advocacies are based on the various international framework that our countries, I mean, African countries have ratified, but are not very well implementing because of sometimes selfishness, and also sometimes not very well taking into account, yes, the preoccupation of the people. So, and we link it also, we link also our advocacies to all the problems that the communities are facing. So additionally, one also of strategies is networking. So networking is very, very important, since we are various, the member of the platform that is a network are coming from various backgrounds, and sometimes, yes, to address some political, to address, yes, some the global challenges, we need also to understand that network is very important. It's a key to network, and also to take some examples of what happened in some country by using a particular method or an action, and to try to experience is also in another place. So, and also we are really concerned by the proliferation of, we are really concerned by the proliferation of weapons. So, and we are concerned also because when we are talking about peace, so all the nations, and including the United Nations, I mean, all the developed countries, they say that they are ready, yes, to bring peace, for instance, in Africa. And what the countries, developed countries, are doing is not really what it's not really what they are doing in Africa. Is not really what they are promoting or they are telling. So for instance, we noticed that the various countries, the various conflicts, many conflicts in Africa, fueled by the members of the UN Security Council, whereas they are those countries that are supposed to be those that should maintain peace across the world. So we have those countries. This country, they, for instance, they sell weapons, and they also permit or facilitate, yes, some wars in various areas. For instance, by feeding or by providing the rebels. So, and we think that the discourse of peace should be a genuine discourse. And we are really concerned as young people. And this is the reason why we lift up our voice, and we continue, yes, to work, yes, as a network to change this situation. And also another thing is, yes, we are concerned also by what is happening, yes, in Ukraine. And yes, all this country, all this ongoing war. And but we think also that how we should look, peace should be the same wherever we may be. And then so we think that sometimes the intervention, yes, of developed countries, yes, in some, maybe in Europe, yes, might have a different size of angle. Maybe because Europe countries, yes, are also. I mean that the way that we should fight, or we should promote peace, should be the same wherever we are, and we really advocate for the same attention that should be in Africa, also Asia, and also some countries like Afghanistan, where we have all these problems that are lasting. And so the intervention of the international community for us should be the same when we talk about peace. And this is very important. And also all the developed countries should stop fueling conflicts in particularly in Africa. And we also concerned by the fact that, for instance, in the United Nations Security Council, we don't have any Africa country that is member. And we remember various conflicts in Africa. For instance, the conflict or the death of Gaddafi, that was accused to be someone that is not promoting democracy, whereas behind we have this selfish interests of developed countries, particularly France. And we think that if we had, for instance, an African country, maybe in the Security Council of the UN, we can have the voice of Africa that will be taken into account. And yet now we have in the UN Security Council, all the continents, yes, are represented by at least one country. So, but Africa is not yet represented. And we think that when we talk about peace, we should make peace, we should promote, or we should advocate for peace equally. And also all the continent should have the voice, and all also the countries should be treated the same when it is when we would like to solve a particular crisis. So that is it. Thank you very much for your kind attention.
Thank you very much, Joel, for putting the point on the very problems also that are the current situation of peace and geopolitical equilibrium. And yeah, you mentioned also the Security Council and institution. And with our expert speaker of the session, that's Francesco Postiglione, we want also probably to address maybe some possibilities also for like having peace on the long term, properly talking about international institutions. So Francesco, I will leave you the floor. You have 15 minutes for your talk. So please, Francesco.
Thank you, Domenico. Everyone, hi everyone. I'm very excited, let me say this, to say here in this occasion. And thank you really, Domenico, to have made this possible, because it's like that's all the world here present at the moment. So it's very, very beautiful for me to speak here and now. I introduce myself. I am Francesco Postiglione from Italy, in town of Naples, and I am a former philosophy teacher in high schools in Italy, and I am a former counselor of Italian section of Amnesty International. And nowadays I still study philosophy. I still try to research, try to read and talk about human rights philosophy and international right philosophy. And as I said, I was in Amnesty International, and I was a philosophy teacher. And these two paths in my life practically were taken together for years and years, and they changed my life and changed my way of thinking about themes like the one we are discussing now, just like environment, just like peace, just like avoiding war and so on. And I will show you, I will talk about an idea to realize in concept and in practice a world based on respect of human rights and based on respect of peace. This idea, something that Joel said just some minutes ago in practice, this idea, it's a proposal, but it's not my idea, obviously. It's an ancient idea, I have to say, from philosophy. And it's an idea from three books, three philosophers. One of the 19th century, and it was Immanuel Kant, the most famous of all. One from the 20th century, from Hans Kelsen, and one from the 21st century, Michael Walzer, another philosopher. And so there are 3 centuries that philosophers talking about peace and about how to reach peace in the world. And I would try to give just a vision of this idea, but first of all, let me just comment some piece of news of these days. China is discussing in these days a proposal for a pact, an alliance in the Pacific area with other countries from the Pacific area. And Chinese government is proposing a pact based on, as they say, based on environment, based on sustainable economy, and based on international security. In the same time, in these days, Joe Biden, as you know, the President of the United States, is taking his steps to the Indo-Pacific Economic Framework with other countries of Pacific area. And USA just started a quadrilateral security dialogue with the other 3 countries from the Pacific area. I am talking about this news because we know that a new war started just months ago in Europe, but according to every analyst, the principal problem, the principal Cold War area of the 21st century will be on the Pacific, because there are the 2 super power countries, just like USA and China, that are interested in that area. And I hope that I showed how they are interested. Both countries, China and USA, are starting some pacts, some alliance with other countries of this area. Okay, I'd like to focus that both China, then USA, are talking with these countries of the Pacific area about environment, sustainable economy, about international security, but they don't talk about human rights. And in the 2030 agenda and in our consideration, environment, climate, sustainable economy, poverty, and international security are not steps that can be taken without focusing on human rights. This, I think, is shared by people who are talking now, present in this meeting. And I have to say that I'm not surprised that USA and China are not talking about human rights. Focus some subjects. China says about international security and wants a pact about international security, but international security for who? For states or for citizens? Because if citizens are represented in this focus on international security, the most security for citizens is not to be in war, is respecting human rights. And my suspect is that China was talking about international security of the states. Other examples, I can say, for example, talking about environment, Amazon rainforest is on danger now. But why? Because President Bolsonaro in Brazil is contrasting human rights of the Amazon population, for example. Even China, again, talking about sustainable economy. But how sustainable economy? With coal, with oil, they are the most important energy sources that China uses. And China, as you know, is a country of 7 million people. So the two most important superpower countries in the world actually are talking about aliens impacts in the Pacific area and mostly in the world, but they don't talk about human rights. And we have now 59 words processing while I'm talking to you. 59 words in the world while I'm talking to you. One of these is the war in Ukraine, which is not the worst war maybe, but it's important, as Domenico says, because Europe was a country that never seen wars for a long time. And now we know that even Europe is not secured by wars. And so there are other wars in Birmania, in Nigeria, in Palestinian area, in Africa, and so on. Okay, but how can we go to peace? According to Immanuel Kant, who wrote a little book, I can show you. It's not so big as you can see. According to Immanuel Kant, in 1795, the perpetual peace will be achieved with a democratic organization of democratic states inside. So the goals are two: a democratic organization, as United Nations are not at the moment, and the other request is that we should have democratic states members of a democratic organization. From Kant to now, we had a lot of steps of the international right and of the UN organization, but we don't have peace. Why? okay, I will focus you on one particular subject. The first 5 countries who are producing weapons are Russia, USA, China, Germany, and France, as I remember. Well, 4 of these 5 states producing weapons are members of the UN Security Council. So how can we just only think that we can have peace if 4 of the 5 principal producers of weapons are members of the UN International Security Council? Counter's right. We need to reform United Nations. We need to reform the organization and the statute of a United Nations. And the first and most important step, as Joel Ebola said just a few minutes before, is that the Security Council has to be abolished or has to be deeply reformed in order to have in International Security Council all the continents represented there: Africa, Asia, South America, North America, Europe, and Australia. Or we can abolish the International Security Council and we can only have the UN Assembly, in which every state count as one, just like in the democratic principle of government. This is the idea, and it's quite more complicated to realize it as I show, but I hope that I will talk of this idea in deep words in the breakout rooms after. But if for the others that wants to study this idea, I can talk about one philosopher of these days, of this moment. He is still alive, Michael Walzer, who talks about war and who talks about global organization, a global state who need to has the only right control of force in the world. So we can call an international policy to terminate every war in this world. How an international police force is the solution only if there is a democratic organization, just like a national police is legitimated to use force in a democratic state, just like, for example, Italy or others. Okay, Domenico, I can stop now for the moment, if you're agree.
Hey, thank you, Francesco, and thank you also to Joel for make your statements. So I think that now we can go to the other P. I don't know if there are any question, interventions is now, even though we can go ahead with our next P, that is the partnership P. I will show again my screen. So, and also we remember there was a comment, Francesco, in the chat that was correct. Unfortunately, also in Europe, we know war into the 90s. That
I know. I was responding. It's the only war after the Second World War in Europe. But I want not to say that Europe has a primate in not having war. Not just like that. But surely Europe has had very less war than other countries.
Thank you, Francesco. Thank you also, Natalia, for the comment. And so let's move to the other P. Now we are finishing with the P. other two are just lasting. The other piece, partnership. We mentioned in our intervention the importance of networking, of create also public-private partnership, and SDG 17 is properly the one addressed to that. And properly talking about partnership and about networks of like also association and organization, I want to give the floor to Eleonora from Rete Giovani. Hi, Eleonora, are you there?
Hello, do you hear me?
Yes, thank you, Eleonora.
Thank you.
Eleonora is part of Rete Giovani, that is a big network of youth organization that it's based in Italy. So, Eleonora, if you want to tell us about you and about also the project of Rete Giovani in few words.
Yes, I present myself briefly. So, hi everyone, it's Eleonora. I live in Milan and I'm a part of Rete Giovani since I think 1 year, more or less. And on the other hand, I work for a consulting firm. So I have these two different, let's say, interests, which are innovation and sustainability, and they are collected in Rete Giovani, in fact. Rete Giovani is, as Domenico was saying, is a collection of youth organizations, and its aim, it was created during a delicate moment, which was the COVID one, and his main goal is to bring the point of view of young people and their instances to decision maker at a national level. And during its first year of life, its main output was the creation of Piano Giovani, a youth plan, which collect all the topics which are fundamental for the organizations involved. And for the next year, its main objective could be a roadmap to follow up the main topics that were highlighted in the plan. I think that's all. I don't know if should I add something else?
No, thank you, Eleonora. And as I can see, Rete Giovani is an example on different realities that are joining together, and also Climate Social Forum wants to be something like this, and also it demonstrates also the power of connecting different organizations to one goal that leads finally to reach the main goals, like the overall goal of, for example, towards the Agenda 2030. So I saw a raised hand from Charles Bagulo. So Charles, if you want to speak out 1 second. Charles? I don't know. Okay, in the meanwhile that maybe Charles is getting the audio, I will give the floor to the expert speaker of this P of Partnership, that is Marinella Montanari. So Marinella, are you there?
Yes.
Okay,
hi, Domenico. Thank you.
Hello, Domenico. Please excuse me just 1 second, please.
Okay, please. Yes, Charles, you can go.
Yeah, excuse me. It is my pleasure, Domenico, to be with you. Unfortunately, I'm waiting. I told you that I want to leave. You know the program. So thank you for your tireless work. I just want to say just one thing. We are celebrating the 15 years of UNEP. All this around environment. And I want to thank very much the speakers for what they told. And I want to say that this work we are doing is not the work of one person. Like somebody tell, is we must work together. Let me finish in French. And Domenico, let me speak in laisse-moi t'expliquer, là tu vas bien résumer, d'accord? Donc, je pense que cette initiative-là, elle est la bienvenue. Je voudrais féliciter encore Domenico pour tes initiatives qui sont nobles, pour ce travail vraiment très intéressant que tu es en train d'organiser. Et comme Dieu sait faire ces choses, nous nous sommes connus. Et voilà le monde qui se regroupe autour de toi. Plusieurs personnes, plusieurs autorités, plusieurs tendances sont réunies aujourd'hui pour parler de quelle contribution pour la jeunesse par rapport à l'atteinte des objectifs de développement durable que nous sommes en train de viser d'ici 2030. En ce qui concerne l'ONG Afrique Espérance, une organisation panafricaine dotée du statut consultatif et ayant accréditation, je pense que c'est une très belle initiative et nous ne pouvons que la saluer et demander à ce que toutes les parties prenantes, c'est vrai qu'il ne s'agit que de théorie. Moi, je voudrais qu'on quitte l'étape de théorie parce que depuis de ce forum jusqu'à maintenant, nous parlons de théorie. Qu'est-ce que nous avons à vendre? Parce qu'il s'agit de faire des propositions concrètes, des actions qui puissent nous emmener à augmenter la résilience de nos populations qui souffrent des effets du changement climatique. Il s'agit des femmes, il s'agit des enfants, il s'agit des filles. Donc, quels sont les programmes, nous, en tant que société civile, quels sont les programmes que nous développons en faveur de ces populations à la base? Parce que nous sommes africains. Voilà. Donc, moi, je parle en tant qu'Africain. Les pays développés, ce sont eux qui produisent assez de gaz et qui conditionnent ce que nous avons aujourd'hui. Ils ont promis lors de la COP21 à Paris qu'ils vont nous donner 100 milliards pour pouvoir compenser. Mais cela n'est pas une réalité. Mais aussi, nous attendons est-ce que ça va venir. Donc, ce que nous pensons, c'est que ces genres de débats-là, qu'il y ait plus de pratique que de théorie. Plus de pratique. Qu'est-ce que chaque ONG, chaque compartiment de nous, qu'est-ce que nous avons à vendre? Quelles sont les initiatives que nous emmenons pour accompagner les populations à pouvoir supporter les effets du changement climatique? C'est comme ça que moi, je vois la chose. Parce que nous allons faire assez de théorie, et assez de théorie, ça ne nous amènera à rien. Donc, moi, je voudrais me résumer là, et je voudrais souhaiter vraiment une très belle continuation pour le débat. Et c'est vrai que nous sommes venus à la COP15. J'ai beaucoup attendu par rapport à la rédaction du rapport final. Donc, je suis en train d'aller prendre le vol pour rejoindre mon pays. Donc, félicitations à tout le monde et que Dieu nous garde. Ce n'est que partie remise et on pourra se revoir sur d'autres plateformes de discussion. Merci beaucoup.
Thank you very much, Charles. I will resume briefly, and then I give the floor to Marinella. So, Charles, like others speech before going, thank you for participating, and also thank you for being part of the organization of this event. As Charles was saying, this event has been possible to thanks to the joined forces of different organizations and different like people that has worked together into the Climate Social Forum for make it happen. So thank you very much, Charles, for your contribution, and thank you all the team that is working on that. Is also like was appealing to turning from theory to practice, basically with resuming few words the speech. So after like the talk, of course, it will be also our goal as association, as civil society, to address in practice what we also are theorizing and we are talking about. And I think that is a great contribution also for our consultation that will run after the speech, as I said before. So let's try to make it in practice. This is, I think, the message that Charles was sharing very strongly with us. So thank you, Charles, for your intervention. Give the floor to Marinella. Marinella, to you.
Yes, thank you, Domenico. Thank you, everyone. A pleasure to be here today. I would like to start by acknowledging that I am speaking from Montreal in Canada, that is on unceded Indigenous lands. The Kanien'kehá:ka Nation is recognized as the custodian of the lands and waters from which I am speaking today. Tiohtià:ke, the original name of Montreal, is historically known as a gathering place for many First Nations. And today it is home to a diverse population of Indigenous and other peoples. So I am so pleased to share with you some thoughts regarding partnership. What a challenge. So first of all, my name is Marinella, and I am a social entrepreneur, and I have an artistic background. So I started my career combining together entrepreneurship and being on stage and meeting people and going all around Italy, Europe, and abroad performing. And now I am in Canada, and my challenge is to create partnerships to have an impact. So I will share with you a couple of images to make my speech a little bit more, let's say, clear and effective. So the challenge of partnership, I am speaking in terms of a challenge because I am from the arts, and the organization I represent, Jobel, we are artists. So imagine the challenge, try to convince partners of many different fields, so local government, businesses, scientific community. Imagine the challenge to convince them that if we get it together and if we integrate the arts into our conversation to build a more sustainable society, it's worth it. So at the beginning of our journey back in 2000, people just was, well, you are artists, you should be in theaters. What are you talking about? So it was a long journey, but we have achieved some good results, but the challenge is still on, of course. So my organization, and I represent my organization here in North America since 2019, but Jobel is operating starting from 2000. So the idea is to combine the arts with scientific and academic data and bringing an impact into communities to maximize the engagement, and most of all, to try to, let's say, guide people embracing a new perspective, but not only people at the local level or from the, let's say, the grassroots level, but also inspiring businesses, local government. So each time we operate through our artistic project, we build up small communities made of different communities. So this is the partnership to have an impact wherever we are operating. So we have projects in Italy, Europe, North America, and Asia, but we are small because each time we build up a project, we try to become bigger, inviting partners into our project. I want to give you an example. So the idea of our project is to do events, putting together these different communities. So in 2018, we have created this format that we call the Smart Talk project. So basically, this is a conference integrating performing arts and digital arts. But how do we create a Smart Talk? We need speakers, so experts from scientific and academic community, and all these speakers are expert on each of these goals. And then we have artists, but not only professional artists, also students. Then we have families, and then local, national, and international partners. And of course, we need a venue for the events. So we have created a series of smart talks in 2018-19, and then we have continued to create different smart talks all over the places with the same idea, and the impact on people, it's just amazing, because we have in the same venue families, children, seniors, experts, representing the local government, and people from private sector gathering together in the same venue. And the result is just amazing, because everyone can bring home something. And most of all, we have a very effective impact on the citizen, because they see their children, the youth engaged in the arts and in the conversation. Then they see professional speakers that are really trained to give us the data. But you know, as also Stefania mentioned, if you combine the information with the emotion, then the impact is far bigger. So here is our first ever series of Smart Talk before the pandemic. But now we are able to gather together again. So after we have been doing some Smart Talks just online, we will be soon back on different stages live. So as you can see here from the program, at the bottom of the posters, you see these different little logos. Those are our partners that helped us financially from the communication aspect, but also the partners gave us the speakers to address these topics. So it was really, really a great teamwork. And our design, our engagement design, it's like a chain. So with the arts, you bring the emotion. With the speakers, you bring the information. And together we raise more awareness, and hopefully we can encourage more engagement and action. So the idea is to combine the heart with our brain. And we are also studying neuroscience, the impacts of the arts on our brain. And because we need a lot of data and scientific proof to involve the partners into our conversation, because very often, especially when we try to involve the business community, sometimes the reaction is, yeah, but what the arts? Yeah, it's nice, it's good. But so there is always a but. So we need all the time to prepare ourselves. So that's why I was talking about a challenge, because we spend a lot of time in convincing the partners and bringing everybody together, but it's worth it. So it's a lot of work, but it's worth it. So I believe in partnership a lot. So if you want to get in touch with me, I wanted to go to my next slide with the email, but now, oh, okay, right. So this is my email if you want to get in touch with me. And thank you for listening, and best wishes everybody for your mission wherever you are. Now.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Marinella, also for outlining the importance and also the efforts to make partnership, because make partnership requires efforts, and is not like immediate. We have to be patient also in lace them. So thank you very much for your expertise and your sharing. So now let's go to the last P. Last but not least, I can say that is the one that maybe can be a little bit more innovative, standing to the traditional framework. That is the purpose. So to address sustainable development and to address also sustainability, we have to understand the purpose, the deep purpose of making it. And properly talking about purpose, I want to invite the next speaker of our introductory roundtable. It is Elsa Ferrario. Hi, Elsa. Are you with us? Elsa, I don't know if you can hear.
Yes, hello.
Okay, hi.
Irene is not here.
Irene is not yet joining. Irene is the other youth speaker of this P. I will give you the floor to you then. As Irene is joining, I will also let her join. And okay, I know that you have a video, right? That you want to share.
Yes,
the audience.
and also, can I share a video, the screen for
sure,
a PowerPoint? Sure. Okay. So I'm Elsa Ferrario. I live in Lecco in Italy, and I'm a chairman of the Milan group of SEI, Secretariat for Ecumenical Activities, and founding member of the Interreligious Observatory on Violences Against Women. Thank you, Domenico, and all organizers of this important consultation. I'm very happy to be here with you and have listened to all your precious reports. So now I try to share. Okay, can you see? Do you see my screen? Okay, okay. So purpose, why take care of creation? Biblical roots in the book of Genesis, chapter 2, verse 7, we read, "Then the Lord God formed the humankind from the dust of the ground." But in Hebrew Bible, where the book of Genesis is called Bereshit, that means in the beginning, we read, "The Lord God shaped Adam with the dust of Adamah," that is earth. So in this sentence, the connection between the material reality of Adam, that means the earth, with the earth is evident, expresses through the same linguistic basis, Adam, Adamah. In Genesis chapter 2, verse 15, we read, "The Lord God took the human being and put him in the Garden of Eden to walk it and take care of it." The walk, avodah, is by no means considered a punishment by the gods, as in some myths of the ancient Near East, nor it is a work strictly reserved for slaves, as in the Greek-Roman culture, since it is a constitutive action of the human being. There is something in it that pertains to the sphere of God. In fact, in Hebrew, the verb to walk, avad, indicates the service that the people are called to render to God as a consequence of the liberation from Egypt and the covenant stipulated at Sinai. The other verb, to guard, samar, in addition to the profane sense of to look, to keep under observation, is commonly used to indicate the observance and jealous care of Torah, the Bible, especially of the commandments. So the two verbs do not connote any kind of exploitation and robbery of the garden's resources. On the contrary, they express the idea of care and attention, that is, they contribute to the same beauty and delight of the garden. And this is why the churches cannot fail to commit themselves to the care of creation. In Seoul, 1990, started the so-called conciliar process for JPIC, Justice, Peace, Integrity of Creation. And this is a worldwide movement. As regards Europe, we have the first ecumenical assembly in 1989, Peace with Justice. And when we speak about justice, we also include climate justice, ecological justice, because there are all kinds of justice. And there has been 3 European ecumenical assemblies organized together by the Conference of European Churches and the Council of the Bishops' Conference of Europe. In 1989 in Basel, the title was Peace with Justice for the Whole Creation. In 1997 in Graz, Reconciliation, a gift from God and source of new life. And in 2007, Sibiu, the light of Christ shines upon all, hope for renewal and unity in Europe. And then the last World Council of Churches Assembly in Busan, 2013, started a pilgrimage of justice and peace. So all Christians and people of goodwill everywhere are invited to join in a pilgrimage of justice with an inclusive sense of justice and peace. The WCC Central Committee calls all people to engage their God-given gifts in transforming actions together. And in next September, we have the 11th WCC Assembly in Karlsruhe. The title will be Christ's Love Moves the World to Reconciliation and Unity. In the title, there is no theme of environment, but the representatives of specialized ministries that are organizations connected to member churches of the World Council of Churches, serving the one ecumenical movement in the areas of mission, diaconia, relief, and advocacy, gathered for an online pre-assembly in March in preparation for the assembly, and wrote this: "The climate and ecological emergency threatens all of creation, including the whole human family. Responding to this crisis is impeded by how inequality its impacts are felt among different locations, how inequitably the resources fueling the crisis are shared, and how divisive the issue of climate change has become in some national political discourses. As the climate emergency accelerates faster than anticipated, so too does the suffering experienced by impoverished and marginalized peoples, especially those experiencing displacement. The moment is upon humanity to address the crisis, to act and advocate for climate justice and engage for change. We rely on Christ's love for the courage to act. The ecumenical response to the climate emergency must reflect our calling to care for creation, to join with peoples of other faiths and society in actions that include prayer, advocacy, and witness. Together with the WCC member churches, we commit to provide leadership and action that conveys hope in the face of the existential threat facing creation and humanity. And what about other religions? Starting from the document of Human Brotherhood for World Peace and Common Coexistence, signed in February 2019 in Abu Dhabi by Pope Francis and the Grand Imam of Al-Azhar. In June 1991, there has been an Islamic Catholic national meeting organized by the Office for Ecumenism and Dialogue of the Italian Episcopal Conference, together with the leaders of the main Islamic communities present in Italy. And the title was Significant Steps, Environment and Care for Creation. Abdellah Redouane, General Secretary of the Islamic Cultural Center of Italy and the Great Mosque of Rome, said, "The pandemic crisis has offered women and men of faith the opportunity to reflect on the care of our common home, calling them to recognize and repent for the damage committed against creation in the name of the supreme laws of the market." And he added, "Any attack on ecosystem is an evil done against the weakest, especially future generations." Guarding is the key word of everything, echoes the Muslim theologian Shahrazad Husmand Zadeh from Tehran. To guard oneself and human neighbor, to guard the life of animals on the earth, to guard the human family. The human being has received freedom as a gift, but is called to act responsibility because she is capable of doing it. And from February the 3rd to the 8th, 2020, just before the pandemic blew up in Milan, on the occasion of the Interfaith Harmony Week 2020, the Museum of Cultures, in collaboration with the Italian Hindu Union, the Jewish community of Milan, and the CREIS, Italian Islamic Religious Community, proposed a week dedicated to relations between faiths. The theme of the environment and its care was the common thread that united the various workshops and study days. In an active dialogue with the students, with the participants, and with the representatives of the 5 religious traditions, an attempt was made to highlight the role that each can have in promoting greater respect for the environment. Between others, participated Grazia Francescato, journalist and writer, former president of the Italian Greens, representing secular lay ecologism, Rav Alfonso Arbib, chief rabbi of Milan, Giuliano Savina, director of the Ecumenism and Dialogue Office of the Italian Episcopal Conference, Imam Yahya Pallavicini, president of the Islamic Religious Community, CREIS, Filippo Scianna, president of the Italian Buddhist Union, and Swamini Hamsananda Giri, vice president of the Italian Hindu Union. The last 21st May, Rosemary Redford Reuter passed away. She was one of the founders of Feminist Theology and ecofeminism. Here is her well-known book, Gaia and God, an ecofeminist theology of earth healing. But she wrote some 47 books, many of them regarding a theology of liberation, of woman, of the body, of nature. How do feminist theology and ecology intersect? We started from Genesis, so let's remind another verse. Genesis chapter 1, verse 27. So God created humankind in his own image. In the image of God, he created them. Male and female, he created them. Ecofeminism recognizes the same root of violence against women and violence against creation. It is found in the inability of human beings on the one hand and men on the other to deal with their own partiality. In addition to being a crime, for those who believe, it is also a sin because it violates the order of God, who wants us to be creatures among the rest of creation, and men and women together, the image of God in our relationship skills. And now we are preparing for next season of creation. It will take place from September the 1st till October the 4th. And the title of this season of creation is Listen to the Voice of Creation. And the image is the burning bush. And now I think that, please, Domenico, we can listen to a brief meditation on the theme of the next season of creation.
What are we seeing? Is our heart moved? The prevalence of unnatural fires are a sign of the devastating effects that climate change has on the most vulnerable of our planet. And I ask again, are we listening? What are we seeing? Are we moved? Creation cries out as forests crackle, animals flee, and people forced to migrate due to the fires of injustice that we have caused. And so this symbol speaks to those fires, the burning bush. Yet, on the contrary, the fire that called Moses as he tended the flock on Mount Horeb did not consume or destroy the bush. This flame of the Spirit revealed God's presence, a God who listens, a God who sees, a God who is moved, who loves and comes down to his people. And so, as we are introduced to this symbol, which is the burning bush, I call on us to listen as God listened, to be moved as God was moved, to come down and be humble, and to hear the voices of those that are vulnerable and are adversely affected by the fires that consume. And so we invite you to use this symbol of a burning bush during your events. We invite you to celebrate the season of creation and to prepare for that celebration adequately. We invite you to light candles, to light Easter fire, to adorn a bush in your place of worship or action. We invite you to take off your sandals and to remember that you are on holy ground. And listen to the voice of the age. So this is the symbol for this year's theme. Listen to the voice of creation. The symbol of the burning bush that challenges us to hear God's word, and the symbol of the burning bush that challenges us to listen to those vulnerable that are devastated by the fires that we are causing.
And may the God of the life lead us to justice and peace.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Elsa, for your inspiration, I can say, to found us the purpose on reaching and to protect the creation, as you have said. I don't know if Irene is on board. I see that maybe she joined the call. Irene, are you there? Okay, I think that Irene has some problem of connection. So maybe in the meanwhile that we are waiting for Irene, now let's move to the breakout rooms and to the working groups. I will explain a little bit now the process. After this first part of the consultation in which we heard the speakers and we gather information to then, of course, make our points. Now it's our turn, and I will explain how the process will work since now. So just one moment that I share my screen. Okay, as we addressed at the beginning, we will use the Talanoa dialogue as a methodology for running our consultation. So there will be 3 rounds of consultation and breakout rooms. The first round will be addressed to assess the state of art, so where we are. Standing also to what we have listened from our speaker, we have to assess the situation as it is. The round two will be the projection, so which could be our goals for the future, for what we want to achieve. Also, our request maybe for policymakers that we want to state into the youth document that we are addressing for Stockholm+50. But also the strategy and the methodology on which we want to achieve these goals. It's important also to assess the way on which we are addressing our like wishes, our also demands for the government. And I will show again the structure of the current draft of the Youth Stockholm+50 document. There is an executive summary that is like the main like background of also the consultations, and the main background also on what the Stockholm+50 represents also for the international community. Background and introduction. So this part is a little bit more about, for example, UNFMGCY, the constituency of youth that is leading the process. And then the third point is toward a better world, our policy demands. So we have to be aware that once we are like asking and running our consultation, this is our goal. What we want to obtain for having a healthier future, a more peaceful future, a more prosperous future. We addressed the peace, and we understand now what we are talking about. And actually, you will be divided into like 6 breakout rooms, one for each of the P that we addressed. So the one related to people that pertains SDGs from 1 to 5, planet that address the SDGs from 6, the 12, and the SDG 6 and 12 to 15, prosperity SDG 7, 11, partnership we have seen 17, peace 16, purpose 10 to 30. So these are the names of the moderator of the session. And you will be given also for each breakout room a document that actually resumes the 3 Talanoa rounds. So the first one you can like compile on the first round, the second one in the second round, and the round 3, of course, in the third round. And for reference, I put also on the back of this document the actual structure of the consultation document. So now just one moment that I share into the chat the links to the breakout room. So the breakout rooms will be done into Google Meet. So we will change platform. You can stay here, but you can also join the other platform. So just 1 second that I'm opening the rooms. And also, I invite the moderator to join the breakout rooms of payments. Okay. So these ones are the links to the breakout room. You can select which one you want to go. And I will also share this document where you can find all the references to the breakout rooms, and also the return from the main session. And also I'll share the folder where all the open documents are present. So just one moment. Okay. So you can now join the breakout rooms. So select one of that. So just a moment that I'm talking. You can join one of these links and then start discussing. I will come into the breakout room and explain how it's working. So hope that you can join a fruitful discussion. And we have, for the first round, 1 hour. So see you in the breakout rooms. Okay, you can start the discussion. Hi, Monica. I'm Gavin. You can stay in Zoom.
Hello? Hello?
Hello?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
I don't hear anyone. Is anything going on? I have no sound. Can you hear me? I can hear you. I have no sound.
So welcome back to all. Welcome. Let's wait that also maybe the other are joining. I see Monica here. Hi, Monica. Vladislav, are you there? Hi, here. Francesco is gone. Okay. So, first of all, congratulations. It was challenging. It was challenging. I can understand that was not so easy also in this mode with like external link and so on. We tried to like also be more inclusive. The Google Meet, but okay, it was like
4 hours.
4 hours. 4 hours. Yeah, actually, the consultation, as from the guidelines, we respected almost the guidelines. They asked it even more, but we stayed like in a reasonable time. So, congratulations, as I said, first of all. I was seeing on the background your works. You like committed. We like you responded with passion to the mission. And I think that we can achieve a great results thanks to the working groups and your work. But now, officially to close the consultation, I want to ask if you can report and maybe like give back to the whole audience what you did on the working group. I was aware, of course, of what you were doing because I was behind the scene, but now it's better that all of us can be acknowledged of the working group work. So maybe who wants, first of all, decide among the groups and among yourself who can be a spokesperson that can present the work done. So I saw that the work of partnership have done an amazing work. I don't know if someone from the group of partnership wants to like resume the work. Who's gonna be the spokesperson?
Marinella.
Hey, I volunteer.
Okay, okay.
Okay.
Let's start from you.
Okay. So, do you want me to go briefly into the 3 questions?
Yeah, you can share also the screen if you want, or.
Oh, all right. Yeah, of course. I was also completed with a personal note from myself because I didn't have time to complete.
Yeah,
but
you can also complete since we have time since the 1st of June to integrate in a way. So.
Okay. Yeah. So where we are, briefly, we are still a little bit far from seeing an effective partnership, because for all of us, partnerships is something effective that should bring a practical results. So we are far. So here you will have all the I'm sorry for the noise, then I will put the headphones. So now you have the names, so you can see the people from each country, the personal comment. And then where do we want to go? Well, we hope to have a better dialogue, because sometimes there is no dialogue at all between the government and the civil society. And this is something that it's really hard to accept, because then the civil society is without you know, they have no clue what can we do, where should we go. So with the second question, the reflection was, it's probably better to make the local communities stronger. So going into how we want to get there, because we want more effective partnerships and more dialogue between different sectors, really an transdisciplinary dialogue, but real transdisciplinary dialogue. And how do we get there? Well, here you will see a lot of inspiring words, but yes, the communities, the local communities are key. So if we can make local communities stronger, this is a good strategy. So we can also give more empowering more youth. So if we have youth that is more involved and have the tools, then the change will come. That's
okay.
it.
Okay. Thank you very much. Anyone from the group that wants to add something to the Marinella resume? Okay, questions from the other participants that were maybe in other groups or... Okay, if not, let's move to the other group that I saw here. I saw here Albert and Monica that were working on the prosperity working group. And so Albert, Monica, I don't know who wants to go to resume the results of the working group.
Okay. Well, you don't have, so Albert, you don't have to share your screen, but you can present if you like.
Okay, so you want me to share the document? Okay, just one moment.
Yeah, and Albert can talk through it.
Okay. Here we are. So, okay, the floor is yours.
Okay, hello. I hope you can hear me.
Yeah, Albert, please, you can go.
Okay, so in regards to the prosperity as a round one discussion, in regards to where we are, such that holding of resources by few, controlled media and news, whereby certain actual information that the public needs are being held back, and they try to take their own thing, and sometimes end up misleading the people as well. We have insufficient health care, inefficient of food, energy, and basic resources as well. And then we also talked about lack of advanced technology on the global scale. We looked at 4 wages for hard labor, that for example, farmers, miners, artists, people that extract natural resources. We also looked at a person can be successful on their own. We always need to have a good team to be able to build something impactful with. We also looked at society being too individualistic. And then we also reached on the fact that 1% ends up controlling the 99% population of the world, which is not good. And also we look at the youth focused on making more money and creating very good value. And we look at destroying natural resources for material gains. We look at we not being able to protect nature and its reserves well enough. We also looked at lack of environmental protection, which has negative impact on our physical and spiritual health. And then we moved on to the abuse of animals, whereby many species are going extinct because of the changes in the environment, and we are doing very little to be able to curb that situation. For the second round, where do we want to go? So we just kept on a few points that by we wanting to make the planet greener, rebuild the places that have been destroyed, and then we should be able to have a society that has the knowledge to uplift the planet. We also look at circular economy, so there's less waste, the ability for the youth to make an impact as an intellectual, and less focus on getting a job. We pointed on implementing conscious business ethics in companies and teaching these principles in business school and entrepreneurial programs. We also touched on creating more social entrepreneurs and institutions that support social entrepreneurs in regards to having incubation sessions for them as well. We touched on requesting the government protection of natural resources, the environment, labor, and anywhere humans and animals are. Dominic, continue to go to the wrong page. Okay, so for the third round, and that's the strategy, the methodology, how do we get there? So we made a few points that change the mindset, change the behavior of the individual. So that way you have a good positive change around the community as well. We looked at implementing conscious business ethics in companies and teaching these principles in business school and technical programs. We looked at creating more entrepreneurs and teaching that support entrepreneurs as well. We looked at changing the education system from upholding the values and lifestyle of the 1% to one that teaches true prosperity for all. We looked at foreign travel and study opportunities for youth to develop local projects as well. And then youth tourism that encourage youth to travel, learn and see the world, and not for distracting and entertainment purposes. And then we also looked at effective youth communication tools for global sustainability projects.
Okay. Thank
So
you. Thank you. Sorry, please.
So the last few points that we advocate to the government to protect natural reserves and develop systems to protect the environment. And then we also looked at empowering youth with early education on the lawmaking processes and then government functions as well. We looked at encouraging youth to write legislation that reflects a better planet, and then building capacity of youth to be able to measure their impact to become more productive and powerful. And then we looked at meet with government officials to implement our plan. So these are just a few points we see that out of our discussion. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Albert. Monica, do you want to add something? Okay. Monica, do you want to add?
I agree with everything that we wrote. I'm sorry, I had to get something to eat. This is between lunch and dinner over here. Yeah, just really empowering the youth to, I think the biggest thing that we took away is if you change your mindset, we can change behaviors. And so the earlier we can start with reshaping the education system to where we're not just creating workers for the 1%, but creating thinkers. And a download that I received is helping the youth create laws now, teaching kids how to, what does the lawmaking process look like? And, if we were able to empower the youth with the tools to create laws, what kind of laws would they create? And how do we push that? How do we introduce that to the legal system in our countries? So we took some great notes, and so please review them. You can share the link, and we can, build upon it, in the future.
Yes, sure. I will share again all the documents that have been produced, also because since the 1st of June, as I said, we have also the possibility to revise, add something, and so on. And the 1st of June, we have to deliver, basically, from this process. But in the meanwhile, we can adjust some. And of course, I will share also the final report with all the participants. So any question for the group of prosperity from the other participants? Okay, if not, let's move to people. I don't know if Vladi is there. Maybe if we can summarize with the
Yeah, I'm
discussion.
still here. Don't know if you
Okay.
hear me. So during the discussion, it was.
Wait. Do you want to let me share the screen? Maybe.
Yeah, probably it's better.
Okay, just one moment.
Yeah, no worries. So in the meanwhile, yeah, it was me and Dr. Sudhir Joshi during the breakout rooms. He mainly expressed some thoughts, and we tried to follow the first 5 SDGs, which are the ones related to the P of people. I think that it may be useful to leave, in particular, this document still open also in the next hours or days, in case someone wanted to add any thought or any idea about this particular P, so that the discussion is more, let's say, it involves more people and ideas. Otherwise, yeah, this is more or less the output. He sadly also had to leave sooner because of other because of his timetable, but feel free to add anything you think is useful. Thank you.
Thank you, Vladi. There is some point that you want to highlight, or eventually I will share also the document. If there are some questions for the group of people, I'll share again, as I said, all the documents that you can find here. So if we eventually also to add inputs. So I just will add one thing. I also participated a bit in the discussion. They are nice thing that they addressed the SDGs pertaining the area. That's, I think, it's a good point also for as in the discussion. And yeah, also there are some interesting suggestions also to be implemented in the future. And also the reference to the indicators is a good point. So I don't know if there are other comments on these particular exposition of the group of people. If not, I will present the group of peace. That is the last one. The other ones like did not match the required number, or moderator some problem, and so we leave it them open since the further days. So I will go to peace and I will explain a little bit. So basically, the group of peace worked on also together with Postiglione, for instance, Postiglione that I exposed before. So current the situation is that there is a lack of an international, we can say, court for also, for example, for crimes related to violation of human rights and so on, and also the Security Council is not including several countries that nowadays have a role into the international geopolitical scenario. And so what we can do is that we can improve in a way, in a more democratic way, also the decision making into the Security Council or in general into the UN system. Here, the Postiglione was suggesting to follow the perpetual peace model that was expressed into the theories of Kant. And how do we get there? So some proposal that also has been mentioned during the discussion to like abolish the veto rights of the UN Security Council, abolish the change the shape and the composition of the Security Council, and consider also that some of the countries that are there are like the most the one that are more producing weapons around the world. So that's why that was basically some peace contributions regarding to peace, regarding where we are, where do we want to go, and how do we get there. And so, any comments or questions regarding this exposition, the work of this working group? Okay, as I said, the group of Purpose and Planet, I'm not the leader, but maybe I don't know if Elsa, do you want to add something eventually also in the next days? We will like very keen and pleased to include any inputs that is coming in the further days.
Irene will write all the documents.
Okay. Irene, it was supposed to be with us, write all the documents. So we are running now to the conclusion of this long day together, long but productive. I saw the amount of work and also material that we produced in such a small amount of time, because compared to the consultation, real consultation time, this has been a small amount. And so for that, I really thanks and I congratulate to all the speakers that are still here, all the ones that has participated, all the participants that have been here. A special thanks also to the youth Stockholm+50 Youth Task Force of UNEP and GCY for proposing this initiative of the regional decentralized consultation, and UNEP and GCY, the focal point, Teresa Oberhauser and Ugranna Shivrastava. And thank you also for the efforts of the moderators that have been been super prompt in responding to the call of moderators. So thank you, Albert. Thank you, Rita. Thank you also Marinella that have moderated in the room. Thank you also, Charles. Thank you to all. All together we find solution finally for social forum. Maybe it's right. But before closing, I just want to share some contacts and also opportunities also to join the Climate Social Forum. This is one of the different events that we are doing. As Climate Social Forum, we born in 2020 properly with the goal to create virtual agoras, and finally we come into making a lot of virtual agoras, and actually the virtual agoras has been rising a lot since the time we started, and so we are really pleasant and humbled to have this possibility to use the technology for gather people and to match people. You can join also our group for helping in organizing more and more events as a volunteer if you want to be part of the organizing committee, as an organization if you want to stay in the network of the Climate Social Forum, as a speaker if you want to be speaker for the next edition of Climate Social Forum that I will remind you that will be in October 2022, and a big surprise will rise. I will not uncover so much, but I will say that the virtual agoras are evolving, and we are trying to reaching the Web 3.0, so the metaverse dimension for the ones that are a little bit keen with the metaverse. And we are trying to organize like a real assembly, a real agora into the metaverse. But I don't want to discover so much. And if you want to stay in touch with us, we are in all the different social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and so on. And especially, I strongly suggest to go on our YouTube channel, where all the recordings are present, where all the speech of the or really relevant speakers that have passed by the Climate Social Forum are. So kindly invite you to go there and follow us for the next initiative and so on. So we are really at the end now. Thank you very much for joining, and thank you for the participation, committed participation that you all have. And see you on the next channels, or on these channels, on the next event of Climate Social Forum. Bye. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye bye.
Bye.
Hi, everyone.